Welcome back to the Hillbilly RV channel. Hey, I want to just take just a quick minute to let you know if you're a new subscriber, really appreciate you subscribing. A little bit about me. My name's Kenny. I'm a hillbilly and I work on RVs. Been doing it for a long time. Most of my videos are DIY to help you get through projects. Some are not, but most are. And to my longtime loyal watchers, really appreciate you enduring my videos. I know some of my videos are not very good quality, and I'm trying to work on that. I really am. It's just, you know, it's tough. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, and I just don't always have that time and effort to put into them, and I apologize. To the people that have been buying the merch, or shirts and hoodies, hey, I just little special here for the holidays. If you have bought a shirt or a hoodie, please send me an email to the Hillbilly RV Gmail address. Links down in the description, and you let me know that you bought a shirt and give me your address, and I'll send you a sticker. Okay. So I really appreciate the people that have been buying the merchandise. It was a long time coming, and I know the first version was not very good looking. It had the goofy white border around the artwork on the back. We fixed that. They look much better now. To the people that bought the original shirts, please let me know who you are, and I'll send you a few stickers. Okay. So really appreciate the people that have been doing that. The link to the merchandise is down in the description below, of course. Yeah, we're going to talk about a few things today. Corey Merritt. Corey Merritt has been on me for months to get the WAGO or WAGO wiring connectors. I did. These are the ones that I bought, the 221 series. The lever nuts, that's what they call them. I thought it was lever locks. I finally got some of these, and again, link below to my Amazon store where I have these in my Amazon store. I'm actually pretty impressed with these things. You know, they're reusable. They have a little lever on them. Let me get the levers up, and then we'll see if it will focus so that you can see that. There you go. Little levers. Okay, yeah. You pull a little lever up. You put the wire in there and just push the levers down the right direction. There you go. And they're locked. I'm gonna show you here with some wire, some actual wire. Because I'm really impressed with the range, you know, the wide range of gauges that these things will work on. I'm sorry, I can't look at the camera. And, well, I could let you all see what I'm doing here. See if I can get this outer sheath off this thermostat wire. Might have to go get my knife. There we go. It's a coming. Klein strippers. Those are my favorite strippers right now too. And once again, they're in my Amazon store. This is 18 gauge thermostat control wire. Now these WAGO or WAGO, somebody tell me how you properly pronounce that. They have a strip gauge on the side of them. I know you're probably not going to be able to see that because I can barely see that. But there is a strip gauge on the side. I think you're supposed to strip your wire back 11 millimeters. I don't know. It's super duper critical. But, you know, I don't know. I've just been stripping them like ½ inch or something. Because we're going to do, this is 12-2 wire here. I'm going to show you what I like about these things. You can put a 12-2 wire in there, or 12 gauge, solid strand wire in there, nice and tight, right? And then you can take and put this 18 gauge wire in the other side and put the lever down. Boom. It is nice and tight too. I mean, I think that's awesome. I don't know why I resisted buying these things and trying these things. I don't know why I resisted for so long. Sorry, Corey. I don't know. Corey even sent me some money in PayPal. Said, buy you some WAGO wire connectors. And I'd already bought some, but anyhow, thank you, Corey. But yeah, I think these things are pretty cool. I've used them several times here in the last few weeks. You know, that's the 2 connector one, and they also make one for 3 conductors. So you can put 3 wires, but now they are, when you put a wire in here, when you put more than one wire in here, they're all connected together. So it seems kind of odd that maybe they don't make them where the wires come together like this, but anyhow, I don't think they do. I haven't seen them. But they make all kinds of different number of connectors. There's a 5 one. I've seen some big ones on Amazon where you put like 10 wires or something together. But these things are pretty cool. So I've used them up in some air conditioners at the control box, and I've used them for the thermostat wires, and I am thoroughly impressed. And what I like about them too is you can take them off, just flip the levers up, pull the wires out, and you can reconnect them again. And you know, it's better than wire nuts, because you know, wire nuts, when you take the nut off, you know, your wire's all twisted up, and if you want to put it back, you know, it's kind of hard to, you kind of get the wires all lined up, the spiral where you twisted them up before. Well, this doesn't damage the wires. Now it does seem like it works best, you know, like before you've had wire nuts on a wire. So if you've had wire nuts on a wire before, you may want to, now that was my fault, I just didn't get that white one up in there before I dropped the lever. Yeah, if you're working on a wire that has had wire nuts on it, you might want to just snip, you know, that 3/4 of an inch off or whatever, and start with some straight wire. They do seem to work better for when the wire is straight. Oh, and I just found this. I was looking at the instructions. Who looks at the instructions, right? Yeah, actually, they provided you with a test port. You can either test in that side there. There's only one, so you can see if you've got power here at this connector, which is pretty cool. Because, you know, wire nuts sometimes are hard to get a test probe. Of course, this is not a test probe, it's just a piece of wire, because I don't have a test probe in here in the house. But you know, wire nuts, sometimes it's hard to get a it's hard to get a tester up in a wire nut and know that you're actually making contact with the wire or the metal part of the wire nut. So that's pretty cool. And actually, the instructions also show if you're using like a 3, you know, a 3 connector, but you're only using 2 wires, you can also just go right in the connector port too. Test it right there. So, yeah, just saw that. I was putting these back in the little box they came in. I seen the instructions. I thought, oh, let's look at the instructions. Anyhow, moving on. So we're talking about electrical connectors. Now let's talk about electricity and some of the things that helps me to diagnose electrical issues in an RV. If you ever watch Darren at My RV Works, if you don't, I suggest you go watch his videos. The guy is always talking about the flow. Well, he's not always, but a lot of times he talks about following the flow of electricity, I think is how he says it. And that's what you have to do. Had a viewer that commented on a video several times this week, and we've gone back and forth with comments, and the person was having trouble with their awning. All right, they said that their awning, they have an electric awning, and it said they could put a fuse in it and it would last for a while and then it would blow. I'm like, well, I mean, you gotta have short. You gotta have short to ground to blow a fuse, because a fuse is rated for so many amps, and if there's more amp draw on that circuit than the fuse can handle, it'll blow the fuse. That's the only way you can blow a fuse. You have to have a short to ground. Whether it's in a wire, whether it's in a switch, whether it's in the motor, but they never did say whether it was when they were trying to work the awning or just, in static position, wherever the awning's at, in or out or whatever, that it would blow a fuse. But they said it would take, I think they said several hours to blow a fuse. Makes absolutely no sense. But in order to find a problem like this, let's just take the awning, because the awning doesn't work. Okay, so the blowing the fuse is something that's, I don't know what that could be. But in order to diagnose this, you kind of have to follow the flow of electricity. On an electric awning, what you've got, you've got power, you've got a DC positive and a DC negative coming out of the coach. Whether it's going to come from the converter somewhere, and there may or may not be a fuse in the converter for an awning. Sometimes it will have a breaker too. That will be a breaker that will go in place with fuse. I have seen breakers. They're still just a small amperage breaker, 15 amp or something like that. But you're going to have your power coming out of your coach. You're going to have it going to a switch. That's the switch that retracts or extends the awning, and then this wiring is going to continue on to the awning itself. Okay, you've got an electric motor in there that runs the awning in and out. Now, whenever you're trying to diagnose something like this, you're probably going to want to go to the easiest to access area first. If the awning is out, the easiest place is going to be at the motor. There's a little 2-pin connector up there at the motor. I'm pretty sure they said this was a Dometic awning. So there's going to be a little 2-pin connector just about this far from the motor. If the awning's out, you have access to that. You can unplug that, put your multimeter in the coach side of that 2-pin connector, have somebody push the switch. Do you have power? Because those are reverse polarity. So if you've got your multimeter put in that connector, somebody pushes the switch to extend, you may get 12 volt positive. Okay. If they push retract, you get negative DC power. You get positive power and negative power. It'll show up on your multimeter as negative, 13.1 volts or whatever. And if it just shows up as 13.1, that's positive. So with your am I confusing everybody? Because with your multimeter, it'll reverse polarity as well. So either way, you know that the power is making it from the coach through the switch to the motor. And if you got power coming to the motor, but the motor won't work, motor's bad. All right, let's say for instance, you were checking up here at the motor with your multimeter. You didn't have any power. Well, the next best place probably is to go to the switch. Okay, these switches, these are a reverse polarity switch. So you should have a power and a ground coming into the switch from the coach, and then you're going to have wires going from the switch to the motor. And when you push this switch in one side, it's going to be putting, let's say to put, let's say you go extend, all right? All right, let's say it just puts positive power on this wire, negative power on this wire. When you go to retract, it'll put positive power on this wire. That's not a very good X, is it? Okay, you're getting the point though. It'll put positive on that one, negative on that one. So if you go to the switch and you don't have any, if you don't have a good power and ground at the switch, all right, you got to keep on going down the line. You got to follow the flow of electricity. Go to the converter. Chances are real good. If you pull the switch out, you're going to see what color wires are coming out of the coach for the positive and the negative. And you can go to the converter, even if it's not marked or it's not marked correctly, you should be able to find your wire. See if you got power there. If you don't have power there, you got something going on. You got a bad fuse, or maybe part of the converter is bad. Because those, inside your converter, you got this panel where you got all your 12-volt fuses. Well, I have seen, just half of this panel go bad. These fuses up here won't have any power on them. So, but you just have to follow the flow of electricity. No, all right, another example. Let's say you're working on a furnace. Cameron and I had one of these just the other day. The guy lives in a camper, and he was really close to a major highway, a major interstate. There's a lot of background noise. The customer said the fan wasn't working at all. So what we found was when we turned the furnace on, I couldn't hear the fan. So we pulled the furnace out, got it on the back of the truck, and lo and behold, the fan motor was turning, but it was very slow. Okay, so we had a bad fan motor. But before we took it out of the coach, I wanted to make sure, because like I said, we could not hear the fan running. And after we got it out, we found out why, because it was turning so slow. You couldn't hear it, you couldn't feel any air coming out of the vent or anything. So, but now we used the same technique to make sure we had power going to the furnace. Because I want to make sure we had power going to the furnace, before we took it out. Because if we didn't have any power at the furnace, then we knew we had to go look elsewhere. So same thing. We had the DC positive, negative coming out of the coach. All right. And that goes, that's coming out of the converter and a fuse, to the furnace. Okay? Positive and negative to the furnace. Okay? I don't know of any RV furnace that has more than 4 wires coming out of the furnace. Power and ground, your 2 thermostat wires. The thermostat is just like a switch. So if you're ever wondering if your thermostat is bad when you're working on a furnace, all you do is take your 2 blue wires that are coming out of the furnace, put them together. Power and ground going to the furnace. If the furnace runs, chances are you got a bad thermostat. Okay? Because the thermostat's just a switch. That's all it is. But anyhow, I got a little bit off topic. So yeah, this furnace, we went right to the furnace where the wire connections are at the furnace, and we checked for power and ground. We had them both. So we knew that because the fan wasn't running, we needed to take the, we checked to make sure that we had power coming in from the thermostat too. We didn't take the blue wires and twist them together. We didn't need to. We knew we had power coming from the thermostat to turn the furnace on. The fan wasn't running, or wasn't running enough to where we could hear it or feel it. But there, we checked the power and ground to the furnace, had power and ground, so we knew the problem was inside the furnace, so we had to go ahead and pull it out. When you're working on your RV, whether you're working on a DC circuit or an AC circuit, DC is a battery. That's your lights, your power to run your controls on your refrigerator. That's the furnace. That's the power to run the controls on your water heater. All that stuff is DC power. Your awnings, your slide rooms. And now your AC, alternating current, not the air conditioner, alternating current is the power coming in from the shore cord to run the microwave, run the air conditioner. You got 12-volt controls that control the air conditioner, but you need AC to run the air conditioner. If you have an electric hot water heater, it's going to power that. The AC is going to power that electrode to heat the water. Again, the water heater will have DC power to run the controls. So that really confuses a lot of people a lot of times, is the AC and the DC. I'll get calls, people who half my camper's not working. Well, what's not working? Well, I find out, that it's lights and stuff like that. So there's a problem with the DC side, probably a problem with the converter, or the power to power the converter. The AC, it's a little bit confusing, but if you'll understand that in your RV you have two separate power systems. You have your AC side, that's the short cord coming in. Yeah, it does go to the converter, which makes 12 volt DC, okay? But then your DC side runs all your controls for your appliances, runs your lights, all that stuff. And the AC just provides power to some of the components, your air conditioner, microwave, your outlets, so you can plug your household appliances in and use those. I hope I haven't confused anybody, but but I just wanted to touch a little bit on RV electricity and maybe a little bit of help how to diagnose it and follow that flow of electricity. Just pick a place to start. If you have a component that you think is not running or not running properly, pick a point. Usually I'll go to the easiest point, whether it's at the appliance or at the converter or somewhere. I'll pick a point. I'll go, okay, do we have good power here? Yes. All right, then let's go to the next point. Do we have good power here? No. Let us go backwards and see what's going on, see where we've lost our power, and we'll all just move on with life. And speaking of moving on, please don't forget to go down, check out all the stuff going on in the show notes, all kinds of links to stuff, Amazon store, blah, 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 all that stuff, okay? So go check that out. I'm going to go up the road and fix another one, and y'all have a fantastic day.